Hi, my name is Connor Vasu. I'm a reporter for the Newtonite, doing a segment here with the Newton North Television Studio. I'm here with current mayor and mayoral candidate Seti Warren, also a Newton North High School class of '88. Thanks for joining us here today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So how did you originally get into politics?
Well, I got into politics right at Newton North High School.
Hi, I'm John Joseph, and with us today we have the senior class president, Seti Warren. Seti, how did you first get interested and involved into school politics?
I basically saw that there is a need for kids to get together in the school and just have some fun, raise some money for the class, and I thought that it would be a good idea for me to get involved in school politics, so I decided to jump in.
Do you plan to continue like a career in politics in the future?
I do. I'd like to become involved in politics, maybe even become president one day, hopefully, sometime in the future.
I was class president at Newton North all 4 years, and I absolutely loved it. I loved serving the student body. I went from there to Boston College, served as student government president there, and then worked at the Clinton White House, then worked for Senator Kerry for a period of time, but really enjoyed public service. One of the poignant incidents that occurred when I was in high school was an interaction, a disagreement between African American students and white students when I was here at Newton North High School in 1986. And then Ted Mann, Mayor Mann, called me into his office and asked if I could help bring students together of different backgrounds to help ease tensions. And I saw how a mayor and how young people could be involved with public service to solve difficult problems. So it all started here at Newton North.
Yeah. So why did you run for mayor 4 years ago?
I saw the city that I grew up in, and I incidentally live in the house where I grew up. I have a 5-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son. My wife and I saw that the city was not meeting its full potential, that we needed to get our finances in order for the short and long term so that we could invest in education and infrastructure, roads, sidewalks, capital, and public safety for the long term. So I knocked on 11,000 doors, and I heard loud and clearly during that campaign in 2009 that we needed strong leadership, someone that could bring the community together to make difficult decisions for our future. Really proud of what we've done in the last 4 years to get our finances in order and invest in what makes this community great. Education and having one of the safest communities in our country, and also making sure that we continue to remain safe and rebuild our roads and sidewalks in our capital.
What do you think what do you think is the best way to evaluate students and teachers academically with the new Common Core standards that are going to be implemented across the United States? How would you evaluate students and teachers if it were up to you?
Well, I think, I know this spring there is a careful look in piloting a program this spring. I think that parent and teacher, particularly student engagement and input are all really important. I think we're right at the start of this process, and I think there really needs to be a collaborative effort, and I think you need to get as much input as possible from all sectors. The good news is that I think we have highly qualified teachers in our school system, and we have an engaged population of parents and students. So I think I'm very optimistic that we will put in place the right foundation to be successful with Common Core and all the rest.
What's one piece of advice you have for students at North who may want to consider running for public office one day?
Well, I would encourage any and all of young people to get involved with public service in electoral politics. It is the most rewarding job I have ever had, being involved with making a difference for people in their lives. There's nothing like it. So I would encourage all people at Newton North, all young people, to get involved at any level. to make a difference in their community. People have to step up. We have to step up together.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank
everyone.
you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
I'm here in the TV studio with Alderman and mayoral candidate Ted Hess-Mahan. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks very much for having me, Connor.
Yeah, thank you. So, how'd you get into politics?
Well, initially, when I first moved to the community, I became very active in school-related organizations, and as a community activist, I was the president of a nonprofit that builds affordable housing in Newton, and through that I became very familiar with the Board of Aldermen and the way that the city worked, and I felt that it was a good thing for me to do, to give back to the community in terms of public service.
So, so why did you decide originally to run for alderman in 2004, and why do you decide now in 2013 that you think it's a good idea to run for mayor?
Well, actually, I ran back in 2003,
2003,
and there was a vacancy at the time. I had actually already been thinking about running, but I had been very involved in issues of affordable housing, in fair housing issues, but also around issues of zoning and planning, land use issues, and was very interested in the city's finances as well. So that's how I got interested in running the first time around. I've served for the last 10 years. I've chaired a number of committees, including the Land Use Committee, which does special permits for big projects like Riverside and the Chestnut Hill Square project, as well as for long-range planning, which has a lot to do with how the city plans for the future. I'm running for mayor now because I feel very strongly that we should have a contested race for the highest office in the city, and because I think I have something to offer in terms of a different way to go around a number of issues, including on the affordable housing issue, but also on some of the fiscal reporting and accountability issues that are very important to me.
So education is really important to a lot of us here in Newton, parents, students, teachers. What are some changes you'd like to pursue in the education system, or things that you think the Warren administration has done a good job on?
Well, I mean, it's very important to me too. I'm a parent. I have 3 kids. All 3 of them have gone from kindergarten through 12th grade in Newton Public Schools. My wife's a teacher. Both of my parents were teachers. So education is sort of central to who I am. I think probably one of the biggest issues right now is accountability for the schools. I know that you know, we have MCAS tests and No Child Left Behind and all sorts of mandates that require testing of students. I think what's really, really important also is evaluation of teachers, and I know that the Department of Education has come out with some new standards for that. I would want to make sure that those were implemented fairly and equitably across the entire school system, however, to make sure that, you know, teachers were evaluated on their performance and not just on, you know, arbitrary factors that might be affected by one class or another being a little bit different from each other. You might have some students who test very well in one class and not so well in another class. I wouldn't want that to affect the evaluation for a particular teacher.
So also important is not just academics, but after-school activities like drama, sports, and student activities like clubs. 2011, the student activity fee and drama fees were implemented, and some raises on sports fees. Earlier this summer, the student activity fees were taken out of the budget. What's your stance on those fees? How do you think they've impacted students?
Well, I know my daughter plays Ultimate, and she was paying activity fees, as are a lot of other kids. Look, on my side of the Mass Pike, on the north side of the city, there's a lot of folks who, working class families, were maybe struggling a little bit, and after the override, which increased everybody's taxes on average by about $350, and with an $1,800 cap on athletic and activity fees, for a lot of these families, they're making some very hard choices between necessities, household expenses, and whether their student can have you know, certain activities that are very important to them. I mean, for a lot of kids, it's very important to be involved in either drama or athletics or any of the other activities that are available. It enriches their lives. I'm personally am glad that they eliminated the activity fees. I was disappointed when the public schools came to the Board of Aldermen to discuss the budget, and the only evaluation that they had done was a survey of teachers to see if it had had an impact on students' participation in activities. I think that that should have been extended to parents and students as well, because they're going to be the better source of information as to the kinds of choices they have to make between paying an activity fee and participating or not.
Finally, what would you say is one piece of advice you have for students interested in possibly running for public office one day?
Get involved, get informed, get educated. Find out about the issues, talk to the people who serve, talk to people who are your classmates to find out what their issues are, so that if you're going to run for office, whether it's for class officer or for Board of Aldermen or school committee or what have you, that you know what the issues are and what people care about. That's how you make the best representative, is by being in touch with the public.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Esmayan, for coming in today. This has been a great interview, and best of luck in the upcoming mayoral election.
Thanks very much, Connor.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.